It's a lever. It takes you a step further faster. Google has one, Facebook has one, Microsoft is using ChatGPT 4. So there are other people that are creating their own language models. And then there are people that are even taking the ChatGPT, training it on itself. Stanford did this and it's called Lambda, where it basically becomes your own AI that is small enough in gigabytes that it can sit on your computer and you can have this without the internet connectivity.
Welcome, everybody, to the show. Jason Wallis is the world's foremost expert on AI. In fact, he's renaming himself to AI. That's what or you're a big Allen Iverson fan, maybe.
That's right.
Out of Alabama influencer. That's AI. That's why
you're. There we go, man. That's it.
AI. That's you. We're gonna just call you AI from now on.
Legally changed on my birth certificate.
No, but we chatted. So I with this podcast, I want to, of course, have great stories, great conversations. I even did a poll on Instagram and asked, like, what do people want to hear? And like the top two were just a great conversation and learn something. So when I put out there in the tribe, I said, hey, who's really digging in on this AI thing? You were like, yeah, I am. And you just mentioned a couple things you're doing. And that's the goal today. And I think just for us to keep it somewhat distilled, we'll probably stay pretty heavily on ChatGPT, because even after you and I were supposed to record last week, you just told me that there's like new stuff happening with ChatGPT
every day,
right? So we'll dive in on all of that, and we'll make sure this episode gets out sooner rather than later because of how fast everything develops.
Right.
But let's go back here real quick for a second. So I understand creative services background, production work and all that stuff that you did, and how AI integrates in that. And as a result, you own some commercial real estate, and that commercial real estate kind of got you in the mindset of, oh, okay, I can become a landlord and go do what I got to do. Hero Donuts. How does sugary carbohydrates fit into all of that? How did that come to be? And before we get into the AI stuff,
it fuels creation, man.
True.
I was actually, so I was a photographer in a studio. It's a mixed co-work, kind of one of the first pieces of real estate of the gentrification movement in Birmingham, where I live. And it was mixed use, mixed income levels. So it was kind of catering to artists. And so me and two buddies, one of them lived there, and then all three of us were photographers running our studios there. And in that building were a lot of artists, and one guy was a drummer in a band. He was on the road playing with a band called Moses Mayfield. And at that point, they had done some shows. I think they were opening for Need to Breathe. Anyway, they were on the road doing, trying to break through, but never really got to the point they wanted to get. But I got to be friends with the drummer, and we just remained friends. And then he started cooking. He started doing private dinners in my studio, ticketed, kind of like a rock show. So it all had this punk rock vibe. And then one day, I had connected him with a buddy, and he had gone over to Ireland and learned butchery, came back to Birmingham, and I was like, hey, whatever you want to do, I'm going to invest in you. I want to, have some investment in a restaurant. But I believed in him. I was like, expecting to open a butcher shop. Well, he said, I want to open a donut shop. And I was like, hey, man, I mean, they're tasty treats and they're delicious and I love them. But my belief was in him. I was investing in him.
Why so much belief in him?
Just an incredible talent, incredible talent, culinary, from a culinary standpoint, but also just a passionate creative and one of the most lovable people you'll ever meet. So,
but how do you invest in that as a businessman, though? Or did he have a plan for the business side of it? Because I think of a creative, somebody who, you know what I mean? Like, so sure. I get that you're investing in his artistry, but what about the actual business? How are you confident that he could run that?
Yeah, that was my idiocy right there. That's probably not the word I want to use. That was my naivety in, thinking, hey, in fact, someone in the tribe posted not too long ago, hey, I've got this incredible, chef friend that wants to open a restaurant. And unfortunately, the most talented people aren't the ones that succeed. It's the ones that are business savvy. And I had enough business instincts to kind of get us from zero, from nothing to something, so for 2 years we popped up, we were pursuing real estate that kept falling through, the deals kept falling through, and we just were never able to kind of, get in that brick and mortar, but we would pop up at the local farmers market. And in that process, we built a pretty cool following. We had an ad agency that I had a relationship with through my creative services doing photography and video work. And they graciously helped us out so much, and they helped build our following at that point. So for those 2 years, people would, they would follow us on Instagram, social media, just to find out where we were popping up. And we kind of built this following there. My apologies on, I cannot figure out how to turn my iMessages off to keep them from dinging.
They're not dinging on my end. I don't hear them.
Okay.
So.
Okay, good. Well,
You're good.
Okay, great. So we built this following, popping up at the farmer's market. And in that process, just really laid the groundwork for what became our brick and mortar. But by the time we went into that, we brought on other investors that were restaurateurs that knew the business of restaurants, because in that 2 years, I really figured out, hey, we've got business instincts and understand from a very fundamental level, hey, you got to make more than you spend. But to take that to the next level where you want to grow a concept and have multiple locations, it was just kind of outside my scope of understanding, and really the scope of what I wanted to do. I wanted to start something and then have someone manage it, knowing that I'm not a manager. I'm a entrepreneur. I love to get things spun up and going, and then find someone that knows operations and management.
Makes sense. What is your interest in it? Are you 50-50 part? It sounds like there's multiple partners at this point.
Yeah.
But what does that look like for you? Is it completely passive? What's your percentage ownership? All that stuff, if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, I have 25% ownership from, let me back up. I have, we brought on another investor. I'm just going to say 12%. Ultimately I've got 12% ownership in the brand. And we're, on a growth pattern. Really a lot of my goal now, or a lot of my responsibilities now, are any kind of pickup things, small signage projects, or I just had this great big project of training videos, because that is a skill set. I have not really been able to use a lot of my skills that I feel really comfortable in the organization until we had this project come up, that as we grow, we want to communicate not only our culture, but how to make our food consistently. So my partner, who is the original chef, he and I just spent a couple months in the kitchen going through every recipe, from prep, how to cut certain vegetables and fruits, and all the way up to how to assemble our sandwiches, so that we could put that out for all the future staff so they could see exactly how he does it. So it's more trying to keep the consistency. So that was a big project. It ended up being like 95 videos, and from 30 seconds up to 2.5 minutes. Yeah. So that was really kind of my introduction into AI. And, I kind of always joke that I'm the laziest person you'll ever meet, because I'll spend 4 hours figuring out how to do something, that could have taken me 2 hours to do it. But to me, it's the repeatability. So when you bring AI into this, specifically with voiceover, so to do a video, we wanted to have the example of him doing it. It's just a hands video. So we shot him putting together all the recipes. Well, then we wanted to have an explanation. So I took the recipe cards, then put that into ChatGPT and said, hey, write me a script for video training workers how to make this recipe. So ChatGPT puts out that transcript. So I take that, cut and paste, put it into Murph.ai, which is an AI voiceover program. You have 20, 30 different voices you can pick from. So, and then it would line by line spit out the voiceover as well as subtitles, because we want to be able to, kitchen can be loud. So if they can't hear the voiceover, we want them to be able to, hey, if I can't hear it, I can at least read it. So it was able to spit out the voiceover and the subtitles that lined up exactly when I dropped them into Adobe Premiere.
Wow.
So it cut down a lot of the process for me.
That's insane. There's a Murph.ai. Is that
Murph.ai? MURF.ai. And the unique thing about that, so I think it's called System 11. I think that's Google's, we can look that up, but Google has what is kind of accepted right now as the best AI voiceover that sounds the most realistic. The problem or the reason I chose Murph.ai is it also output the file. It's called an STR file, which was the file that I needed for the subtitles, because I didn't want to have to then go copy and paste line by line from the script into Premiere. This program would give me all of that at one swoop.
Got it. All right, because we're about to slide into the AI world, there's one follow-up question I want to ask about Hero Donuts. 6 franchises all around Alabama or Alabama, Mississippi?
Technically, we're not franchises. They're all corporately owned stores. So
gotcha.
It's an owner operator. So our operators in the market will have buy-in. But we've got 3 open in Birmingham, 2 in Atlanta, 1 in Charleston, and then right now we're building another Birmingham store and 2 in Nashville.
What is the value proposition of Hero Donuts opposed to, why go there versus Dunkin' or Krispy Kreme or any of the other ones?
So it's a brioche based dough recipe. And so it's a 3-day process, pretty luxurious, not quite a croissant, but kind of similar, lots of butter, high fat butter content. So it's a luxurious thing. But the unique thing is that we take our same recipe, and instead of frying it and glazing it, we will bake it, and it's our bun for our breakfast sandwiches, hamburgers, and chicken sandwiches.
Interesting. Do you ship?
We're working on that.
That's yeah, I got to check that out. I'm not in Atlanta, Charleston, or Birmingham often, but that sounds amazing. So I'll have to give that a shot.
Atlanta, at some point you're going to have to fly through Atlanta, so you just take a layover and I'll come meet you.
That's true. Well, I'll be there in October, I guess, right? For the Gobundance event. I'll be there for the
Lake Oconee
event. So there you go. I'll have to grab something at that point. But
yes, you will be very close.
Yeah. I love it. All right. So you just started to go into it, right? Like how you're integrating AI. ChatGPT is all the rave. And again, I'm starting to dip into, I think we both watched that Alex Hormozy video, right? Like, hey, I replaced my whole team with AI, and there's all these different AI platforms, so much stuff going on. So AI is a big concept, and we can get into that. But to distill it down, ChatGPT being sort of the face of it right now, or at least the most popular sort of first to market, maybe easy to market platform. Understood how you utilized it. Give me. Let's start with this. What industries, especially as you think about like who's might be listening to this show, right? Real estate investors, business owners, entrepreneurs, landscaping services type company owners, all of that stuff, right? What would be the utilization of a ChatGPT for, I don't know, a multifamily investor or a roofing company owner? What are some possible utilizations of ChatGPT that you could see in their businesses?
I think the low-hanging fruit is going to be marketing, because it's going to give you the ability to, and again, with these plugins coming, it's going to give you AI in general. And, the way it interfaces, sometimes it's ChatGPT, sometimes like if you did images, it may be DALL-E or Midjourney or some other type of those aren't LLMs. The LLMs are the large language models, so ChatGPT is built on GPT-3. That's the engine. Now,
what is GPT, by the way? Was that an acronym for something?
It is. So it stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. I had to make my notes. So generative pre-trained transformer. So it's trained on language models. And so it basically is input a ton of data, and it's trained on these. And then overall, it kind of starts developing based on this input. I'm going to have this output. So the thing about GPT-4 that has just been released, it's 10 times as powerful as GPT-3. Now, if you're not paying for it, you don't have access yet to GPT-4. But many things are being built on the back of it. So Bing's search that everybody kind of was talking about a couple of weeks ago, it was the first public-facing kind of consumer product that was built on GPT-4. Now, the interesting thing is GPT-3 was released in 2020, but it didn't really gain traction. Nobody really understood it. From what I've talked to people, Jasper.ai was the first thing that was really built on it. But I remember being served ads and going, this can't be real. I mean, this probably just, they're outsourcing some VAs that are writing stuff. But it actually was AI, but for some reason it never really caught on, because it was this one thing. It would help you write. People kind of had in their mind, well, if I'm writing blogs, emails, or whatever, that's going to be the tool. But if I'm not in that industry, it really doesn't apply to me. So because it didn't really kind of gain traction, fast forward to November 30th of last year when they released ChatGPT-3. So ChatGPT-3 is built on GPT-3. So it's basically just gives it a consumer type interface so people can easily interact with it, and
Yeah.
it was free. So that was kind of the zeitgeist moment needed, the tipping point, if you will, that allowed the public to see the value in this and go, oh, this is something that, one, I mean, a lot of people are having fun playing with it,
Yeah.
but that is what always leads it to, okay, well, how can I practically use this, and how can this become a valuable tool? And I think that's what people are starting to see. And now there is a lot of noise because what's happening is all these apps that we see coming out just every day, it's so fast, it's just iterating, but people are building these interfaces to kind of go on top of GPT-3, much like Chat is, and it just gives them access to that engine, and they can do multiple things, but they kind of narrow, okay, well, this app's going to do, like you had posted about restaurants, it's going to do restaurant reviews, and that's all it's going to do. So it's kind of this narrow shot kind of, this is the focus of it, if that makes sense.
It does. Who owns GPT-3?
So OpenAI is the company that owns it. Interestingly enough, it started in 2015 as a nonprofit. So there was no business model attached to it at first. And I really think when they built it, and, there were other people besides Jasper, but Jasper seems to be the only one in the kind of collective consciousness that really, people understood and kind of was familiar with. But because it was the only one and it didn't get a lot of traction, I think that's why they developed ChatGPT-3. I think they had expected someone else to come along and build this, but no one did. So they were like, well, hey, let's build this ourselves. And let me put a caveat on this. Everything that I say is about 85% accurate.
That's world. You've told me world's foremost expert.
That's
no one knows. Right. No, that's exactly to AI. It just as an aside, when I hear that, the tin hat goes on for a second. Like, so one entity owns all of this learning, this learning model, this GPT-3, now GPT-4, whatever. So one entity, OpenAI, owns all of it. They build ChatGPT on it. Everyone's inputting shit into this thing. So this thing becomes more knowledgeable. Like, is there I don't know, in 5 or 10 years, is there like a meta Facebook sort of like, wow, they're controlling media? I don't know. What's the potential downside of such a centralized one entity ownership of this GPT model that everything else is being built on top of?
Well, the reality is so OpenAI has theirs, but Google has their own, and it's the LLM, large language model. So Google has one, Facebook has one, Microsoft is using ChatGPT-4. So there are other people that are creating their own language models. And then there are people that are even taking the ChatGPT, training it on itself. Stanford did this and it's called Lambda, where it basically becomes your own AI that is small enough in gigabytes that it can sit on your computer, and you can have this without the internet connectivity. So there are multiple people that have different, they're different versions of that, if that makes sense. So it's not completely centralized.
Got it.
That said, as the model gets smarter and smarter, that's because right now it's being trained on existing data. That's artificial intelligence. Artificial general intelligence is kind of the moment when it becomes sentient. People talk, it becomes creative, it becomes war games, or, this thing that kind of thinks independently, creatively for itself, and it becomes this sci-fi being. I think there is concern that might happen. I don't know. I've watched a lot of the movies, and
I know
some of the things I don't want to happen.
It does send a tingle up your spine on it, but okay, no, that makes sense. I guess that, you hear about this. I guess in my mind, it's like they're first to market, they're the most credible. It's almost like, there's other social media sort of networks, but Meta owns it all because they were the first biggie sort of thing. So we'll see what happens with all of it. But
and you think about like Tesla,
Yeah.
Tesla jumped the shark. Tesla was able to become the known EV provider, but all the other, all the other people are slower to adopt, and they're creating their own cars and that kind of thing. And we'll see how it all shakes out. But you would have expected a Ford or Chevy to be, to beat Tesla because they had more infrastructure. But it was one of those things, maybe that infrastructure kept them from pursuing the advancements, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah.
One of those things, will OpenAI be the Tesla and become the gold standard, or will a Meta or a Google squash it?
What happened with Bing? Like, didn't their AI start loving people and weird shit? Wasn't there some sort of controversy about the AI acting strangely? Is there anything like sci-fi that we need to be worried about with that?
I don't know enough to speak to that, but I do know that it was built on GPT-4. It was the first kind of introduction to the public on GPT-4. But when it messed up, I'm not a Microsoft guy, so I never really played around with it. So I don't know enough to know. I don't know why it did that.
Figured I'd ask. On the going back real quick to the marketing, you mentioned when I said, hey, if you have a landscaping company, a roofing company, a commercial real estate business, whatever, the easy low hanging fruit is marketing. What's it? I don't know if you could spin one up, but what's an example? So I'm a multifamily investor. What is the marketing component that ChatGPT can help me with?
I think you would start by telling it that, and that's what it goes back to prompt engineering, is really kind of telling it the context with which you want to have this conversation. So a lot of times my prompts, I will say, pretend you are X, if I were doing multifamily, pretend you're a multifamily investor. And depending on what stage, are we raising money? Are we finding deals? Are we getting tenants? Whatever that is, say I'm trying to find deals. So I am, pretend you're a multifamily investor expert. I am trying to find deals in a certain market. And you basically just tell it all the things you want. And it would even give you a game plan. So it'll say, hey, reach out to, I'm not a multifamily investor.
That's
so
okay.
What are some of the steps, that you take when you're looking for a deal? So
yeah, find a broker, find a property manager, all of that stuff. If you're trying to like maybe farm a market to find deals, maybe you're building your network in that regard.
Sure.
Or if you're looking for your buy box, like this neighborhood, this sort of property, this asset, that kind of thing. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, and you can even back up a point to say, hey, I am new to this and I want to create a buy box, and describe what a buy box is. I want to create, hey, these are the characteristics of the properties that I'm going to identify that I want to buy. And you can even ask it to help you come up with that criteria by asking me, ask me questions regarding this, and it will kind of help you drill down.
Oh, you can tell it to ask you questions?
Absolutely.
Oh, we're going to get into this. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah. And then you called it prompt. I had to write it down. Prompt engineering. We're going to get into that as well. Cause I've used ChatGPT, but it's like, I talk to it like it's a friend. I'm like, please do this.
Yeah. I find myself saying thank you to it all the time. I'm like,
right.
Okay,
yeah. But like you just said, when you said, ask me questions, I didn't think of that. Pretend you are, never thought of that. That's interesting. So we'll try to play around with that a little bit as we go along here. On a larger scale. So with ChatGPT, for me, the obvious industries, if you have any level of need for copywriting, any level of need for email campaign, any level of need for website copy being created, anything like that, that seems like it's a done deal. ChatGPT or whatever AI platform is going to come from here on out, GPT-4 forward, like
absolutely.
Simple, right?
Yeah. So, I had two different pitch decks that I was working on, one for a whiskey syndicate and one for these small bay warehouses. So and again, what I like to do is create a brand. And so these small bay warehouses is something I want to kind of create and create it with a brand and everything. So I went through the whole process of naming through AI. And this was actually, no, this was with ChatGPT. It was one of the early introductions. So I would go into it and say, hey, this is the concept I've got, in my head. And it just helps you kind of take that, narrow it down, and then we went through names. What are names I can do? And then there are logo generators that are AI logo generators. So I took that back through that. I said, okay, well, this is my name. Give me some, and this is the concept. Give me some logos that might work for this. And so now I don't think that they're as great as, some of the guys that I know that do logos professionally, but for a guy that wants to start a concept, even proof of concept without spending a ton of money, man, it's a great tool for that.
So to be clear, ChatGPT can create a logo?
No, I'm sorry. This was a different AI product, but that's the higher AI kind of conversation. But I mean, that was simple. Google AI logo generator. And then you just put in your name and your concept and it gives you options.
Do you know which platform? When we watched that Hormozy video, he talks about an AI that will like, if I wanted to, and I think I said this to you, like I do webinars and I have 80, 100, 200, 500, 800 people that register for a webinar, and if I want to send a custom email to each of them, video of me saying, hey Jason, hey Steve, hey Mike, hey Tom, whatever, I just have to record it once, and then the AI will actually change my lip movement, use my voice, and say the name. You just input a list, like a mail merge. Do you know what AI that is, by the way?
I can find out. It's not ChatGPT, but so Runway is the big. That's the one I would check first. Runway is like a online video or an AI video editor. It's got a lot of capabilities like that, but no. I'll tell it. I'll find it. I remember seeing what it was, but it is, and I didn't see his. But the example he put on there, it looked like his face was kind of in shadow. So I don't even know if they did the mouth thing. They may have just, did the voice generator. So what you can do, similar like to Murph AI, is you can train the AI voiceovers to be yourself. So that way you don't have to say anything.
You could have the mic in front of your face if you wanted, right? You could have the mic right here and make it do what it's going to do. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to do some prompt engineering stuff. Are you cool with that? If we dive into ChatGPT, I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna pull it up right now. So for those watching on YouTube, I'm just gonna pull this up. Our editor will make sure it's included in the video here. So all right, so I'm in it. You can see it.
I can see it.
Been a particularly weird Wi-Fi day for me, so apologies if we have any glitchiness here. But where do I start? It's like right here, it's defaulting to 3.5. I do pay for Chat Plus, so I'm paying $21 a month. Is there another level, or is that the only thing you can pay for?
That's it right now. So if you go up there to the model and click down, it'll give you the option to click GPT-4. So that's going to be the most powerful. It's going to take longer, but it's going to be the most powerful model available.
And this is 25 messages every 3 hours for me. That's what it's capped at. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. Any example that jumps to mind for you of how we can start? Do you want me to give you something that I would do, and then you can teach me on how to use it?
Yeah, we can walk through that. Absolutely.
All right. So for me, let's see. I want to promote. I want to build. Let's do the commercial real estate thing. That was interesting. So we invest with Quantum. We invest in Denver, LA, Austin. I want to expand that model and go to, let's say, Nashville. We want to buy in Nashville. So I want to build a like a credibility book or some sort of business plan or something that I can give to brokers in Austin to introduce ourselves to them. Is that a valid use that would give you enough stuff to teach some prompt engineering, or tweak it if you want to? I don't give a shit.
So with that, so currently the way it is, if you have a pitch deck, whatever your pitch deck is that talks about quantum and all the people and gives your proof of credibility, you're going to have to plug that into ChatGPT-4. So that's training the AI, because right now so that's the cool thing about these plugins that are coming. So the plugins are going to have web capabilities, are going to have just all these capabilities that it can get to. It could get to your website. So you could say, hey, here's my website, build me, and as long as this data exists on your website, all your team, build me a pitch deck to go to Nashville based on and provide credibility based on our current website. Does that make sense?
How about this instead? It does. And you made me think of something instead. So What about this? This is the Tribe of Millionaires podcast. It's Gobundance. This is our marketing tool for Gobundance. So let's do that. We want to market Gobundance better. So give me the prompts if I wanted to create a marketing campaign, email, maybe improved website copy, whatever. I don't know. You tell me. But if we wanted to use this to use the Gobundance.com website, because look, I think that I know we're improving the site, we're making changes to it or whatever. It's always been a little bit clumsy to me. But if I wanted to ask ChatGPT to help me with that, to help me with, hey, improve the marketing, the outward facing marketing for Gobundance to the world using their website or whatever, what do I type in here?
Yeah. So right now, I don't think that ChatGPT 4 has that, like it's not been released with the plugins. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you can't currently give it a URL. That's coming. I mean, that's right. That's the crazy thing is how fast this is changing. So a week ago, our conversation was, hey, GPT-4 has been trained on 10 times as many parameters or 100 times as many parameters as GPT-3. That was the conversation we would have. The next day, on Thursday of last week, they said, oh, wait, soon they've got examples online, but they were saying, hey, soon you're going to have access to these plugins and they showed this video. So back to something we talked about earlier with you, when you posted about your 5 favorite restaurants, where you live. So right there, see that open table. So soon you'll be able to have that open table and these are the first 11 vetted apps that you can use.
Wow. Expedia, book your trip through it, right? Kayak, same thing.
I could go say, hey, my friend Jamie lives in the Dominican. I want to go see him next week. Find the cheapest flight. Go ahead and book it for me. Find give me 3 options of the best restaurants that we can go eat at on Wednesday night, and then it'll show me the 3 best, and then I'll be able to click a link and say, okay, book that one. It'll book it for me, send confirmation, all of that.
That's incredible.
I could even have it shop for me some clothes, so that I look cool on the beach with you.
You need to wear all white. Because I'm very pasty, and then I wear all white just to wash out everybody else that's there. It's almost like a Google Chrome plugin or Google Chrome extension, right?
So where you would Google, like, okay, so you use the example. I'm going back because I really liked your example of, hey, show me the best 5 restaurants. Well, it collated that information and put it there for you. Yeah. If you had done that with Google, you would have to read through 5 different people's interpretations of that, of what they, but this is kind of taking that, synthesizing that data and saying, hey, these are the 5 best from some, quantifiable resources. Yeah. And then adding the plugins will take it the next step just to say, go ahead and book it. And if you could even give it the autonomy to say, hey, don't even check with me, just book me a restaurant reservation at one of the 5 best. Tell me where it is and I'll be there.
Between 7 and 9 p.m., right? And then they go, okay, well, only this one has availability, or these 2 do, but this one seems like more what they want.
Right. And it'll be smart enough to know, hey, I'm going to, if that's the only one of the 5 that has availability, I'm going to book that and off we go.
All right. So back to this. How about this? Do you want me to, I'm thinking of like a campaign I can put together, things I've used it for. Do you want me to go ahead and enter something, see what we get, and then you teach me how I could better engineer that? Would that be good?
Sure.
All right, so let's do this. This is what I would say. Create a 300-word email for to let's do this. Market the Emerge Supercharged event in Austin, Texas, April 20 to 23. Create scarcity. This is what I would say. So if you're like, oh my God, really, this is what you're saying, but create scarcity by advising there are only 10 tickets left. Create a clickable or clickbait subject and use a voice like that of Gary V. That's something I would say.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, put it in there, see what happens.
All right, let's see what it does. So it's a subject. Last chance. Grab your ticket to the ultimate life-changing experience in Austin. Hey there, rock star. I don't think that would be my voice. I'd have to edit that one, but I've got some insane news for you. What's that?
Is Gary Vee going to call you a rock star?
I guess he calls people a rock star. So just for those listening, it says, hey there, rock star. I've got some insane news for you, and I couldn't be more excited to share it. There's an epic event coming up that you need to be part of. The Emerge Supercharge event in Austin, Texas, April 20 to 23. This is your once-in-a-lifetime chance to skyrocket your life to levels you've never imagined possible. Now, let me tell you why this is a game changer. You've been waiting for why this game changer you've been waiting for. Emerge Supercharge brings together the most extraordinary minds of business, tech, and personal development. We're talking about the ultimate hustlers, the visionaries, the world shakers, who know that what it takes to crush it in today's ever-changing world. And guess what? They're all going to be in Austin, sharing their insights, strategies, and jaw-dropping hacks for success. Trust me, you don't want to miss this, but here's the catch. We've only got 10 tickets left. Yeah, you read that right. 10 tickets, 10 freaking tickets. So if you've been waiting for that moment to level up your life, now is the time to act. Don't sit on the sidelines, because opportunities like this don't come around every day. I'm not kidding when I say this event will push you to break your limits, transform your mindset, and unleash your full potential. This event's in like 3 weeks. I better put this out this week. This isn't just another conference. It's an experience that'll leave you charged up, ready to take on the world and hungry for more. So here's the deal. If you're truly committed to crushing it and living your best life, you've got to be at Emerge Supercharged. With only 10 tickets left, you don't have time to waste. Click the link below, secure your spot, and get ready for the most mind-blowing experience of your life. You deserve it. There's a link spot there. Let's do this. See you in Austin, where the magic happens. Stay hungry. Keep hustling. Me. Interesting. All right. So what comes to mind for me is like, all right, that's actually with very limited input. That gives something, but there's some stuff in there that's like, I don't know about like the foremost minds in tech and shit like that. But
so that's the interesting thing. So it was smart enough to take the title of what you have and assume some things about it, right? So it created that from an assumption. Now, the way to get it better would be for you to take whatever your current marketing paragraph is that defines this is what we're doing, who's coming, all of that stuff, if whatever that paragraph is, with the same prompt, and to say, hey, here is a marketing description of what Emerge Supercharged is. And then it will then take all of that same time. Yeah, all of this stuff right here.
Yep.
That you already have, and who's going to be all of that. And it will then take actual data, actual event information that's true to it. And it's going to now incorporate that in your email.
Can I just like literally do this, or is it too much?
Give it a shot.
Let's just do that. Let's see if it does it. Oh, I just copied everything, even the images. And then the images aren't going to paste. It'll just paste the text. So what do I need to put in first?
So now, so now it remembers what you just did. And so you can say, hey, rephrase this email, same voice, but here's the actual event information.
And do I put it in quotes or anything like that?
I would do a colon and then paste. And then you may have to go strip some of that stuff out that.
Like this screenshot.
Yeah, but I think, it may just, and see, you've got the price in there now. It's going to be able to use all of that information.
Structured networking, screenshot. So I can just take out these screenshot things.
Yes. Yep. And then
should I take the JPEG out? Trees JPEG, Hal JPEG.
Yeah, I really think it would ignore that, but.
Okay. I'm just going to go with it then. So hit the little send thing.
Yep.
And let's see what it does. So subject, ultimate mastermind experience, Emerge Supercharged in Austin, Texas. Don't miss out. Hey, champion.
I don't think you can do that, right?
I would edit that as well if it were me. Get ready for some mind-blowing news. The 3rd of March, and it is our 3rd, Emerge Supercharged Spring Mastermind is happening, and you've got a front row seat to the most transformational experience of your life. We're taking things up a notch, and you'll be part of an incredible community of like-minded individuals in beautiful Austin, Texas. Let's level up, learn, and have a blast together. It gives the dates, when to arrive, departure Sunday. Proximity is power, my friend. Imagine being in the same room as these phenomenal keynote speakers: David Osborne, Evan Carmichael, Jason Drees, Hal Elrod. Plus, we've got member-led content, structured networking, and daytime adventures to keep you on your toes. The event sessions kick off at 4 p.m. Central Time. Here's the scoop on what's included: all meals, access to the entire event. What's not covered: rooms, discounted block available, airfare and airport transfer, adventure costs, which are optional. Don't worry about dressing up. Keep it casual and comfortable. Make sure to bring your updated one sheet and sport clothing for GB9 and any adventures you choose. The event officially opens Wednesday evening and wraps up Saturday night with Sunday as a travel only day. That's actually an error. I got to make sure that's Thursday evening. Get your exclusive room block at the Omni downtown right here. Ready for the investment that'll change your life. Check this out. Members $19.95. Guest $21.95. At Emerge Supercharge, you'll gain clarity on your vision, mission, and purpose. Connection with high-level individuals seeking lifestyle freedom. Community networking with Emerge Supercharge members and millionaire members of Gobundance and Gobundance Women. Deep discussions and accelerated change through facilitated networking, member-led content from the main stage, and so much more. Don't miss this life-altering experience. Reserve your spot now, and let's rock this Emerge Supercharge Spring Mastermind together. Secure your spot. All right, here's two things for me. I'm looking at this like that feels long.
Yep.
And it doesn't have the 10-day scarcity thing.
Right.
So what do I do?
So I would say rephrase this and remember. So that's one thing that I found is that sometimes it will forget what you've said. So rephrase this email. Remember to include the scarcity, the 10, whatever you call it, the 10-day scarcity.
10 tickets left, scarcity.
That's it.
Yep. Language. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
And include and remember the tone of Gary V.
Can I shorten it?
Yes. And just tell it. I mean, common language, that's the thing. You can just and shorten it, because I felt like you said the 300 words in the first one. I felt that was longer than 300 words, right?
I think so. It feels like it.
Yeah.
Shorten this. What do I like? Shorten this as much as possible. Shorten this to, half to 3/4 the length.
I would say I would try 300 words. Shorten this to no more than 300 words.
I don't think that was 300. It feels like a lot more than 300 words. All right. Only 10 tickets left is the subject. Unleash your potential at Emerge Supercharged in Austin, Texas. I love the Gary V intros. Yo, game changer. I'm going to have to start speaking like this. I'm going to have to adapt to the AI by speaking the way it's telling me to speak. So I'm just going to become like a follower of the AI. I'll be an augmented person. All right. So, yo, game changer. Guess what? The third Emerge Supercharged Spring Mastermind is happening, and you need to be there. But there's a catch. Only 10 tickets left. Time to hustle and secure your spot in Austin, Texas from April 20 to 23rd for the most transformational experience ever. By the way, I love how I'm actually using this podcast to simply market an event that by the time we release this might be sold out. Get ready to level up with these badass keynote speakers. David Osborne, Evan Carmichael, Jason Dries, Hal Elrod, plus member-led content, structured networking, and epic daytime adventures await. Event sessions start at 4 p.m. CST. What's included? All meals and access to the entire event, but rooms, airfare, and adventures are on you, champ. Don't stress about the dress code. Keep it casual and comfy. Bring your updated one sheet and gear for GB9 and your chosen adventures. Here's the investment that'll skyrocket your life. Members $19.95, guests $21.95. Snag your exclusive room block at the Omni downtown here. That's really good. At Emerge Supercharge, you'll gain clarity on vision, mission, purpose, connect with high-level like-minded hustlers, network with Emerge Supercharge, Gobundance, and Gobundance Women members. Dive into deep discussions and accelerated change, experience member-led content from the main stage, and so much more. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. 10 tickets left. It's time to act now. Secure your spot. I mean, that's
pretty good.
That's really good.
So
Other than the champ.
Yeah. So at that point, though, I mean, it's making some assumptions based on your Gary V kind of description, but, you all also want to be authentic to you. So at that point, you've got a couple of things you don't want. I mean, it's not to the point yet that you can let it be continue just completely autonomous, So, but I mean, we're talking about leverage here, right? So that leverage, how long would it have taken you to come up with that email, Yeah.
Even
if it was 15 minutes, you just saved yourself, 14.
Yep. Now, if could I create absolutely, this saves me a ton in fact, we didn't hire a copywriter that we were going to hire because we did this. I mean, that's the risk to the copywriting industry, right? It was like, well, for $21.95, a few inputs and you can have a hell of an outline. I mean, this is better than what I would have written for sure. But if I wanted to do this as a campaign, could it create like a second and third email for me if I asked it to?
Absolutely. Yeah.
How would I ask for that?
So you what I would do is say, okay, this is great for my first email in an email campaign. Now, again, I know enough about marketing to know kind of the idea of the drip campaign and those kind of things. But then you would say, okay, what is step two in the marketing campaign? What is email two? Is it a this? Is it?
Oh, are you asking me or am I asking you?
I'm sorry, I'm asking you because I
Oh.
don't know that. So, but what would you say? You're the marketing guy. So if we're in email two, how's it going to be? What's the differentiation between one and two? Is it less tickets now? How does this?
I think what I would say is I would want it to be, it's almost like it wouldn't be, I mean, I don't know if it's less tickets, right? At this point, I wouldn't know if it's less tickets. So I think it's almost like reframing or rephrasing this in such a way, but just it's more like, all right, obviously not everybody opens your email, right? So if 30% of the people open my email, am I able to create a second and a third email that are sort of restructures of this that might get in front of other eyes over a whole campaign?
So, hey, let's just ask it. Tell ChatGPT, hey, this is my first email. I want to create two more. How would you suggest creating these?
How would you suggest? I've never ever done that before. So email two subjects is 48-hour warning. Wow, your chance to join Emerge Supercharge is slipping away. Hey there, superstar. I love that. Hey there, I got champ, superstar, champion. There's something else that they Rockstar. That was the other one. That's the other one that they said. All right. So it's putting this together. Time's running out. It's kind of just giving the same thing. Picture yourself surrounded by the brightest minds, including David Osborne, Evan Carmichael, Jason Dries, Hal Elrod. That's cool. So it's taking it and rephrasing it, but it's suggested, hey, let's do a 2-day, like a 48-hour warning.
See, that's the cool thing is when we first started this conversation, both you and I were saying, well, what should it be? And that's where we kind of reframe it and back up and go, well, let's ask it. It's a create that or tell it it's a marketing expert, and you put the onus on ChatGPT to do it. Now here we got our last call.
Last call is the third email. Final hours to join Emerge Supercharge. So don't miss out. Even the emojis, right? Like the scared face emoji and the little time, the clock ticking down or whatever. Hey, action taker. I'm telling you, I'm going to add all of these. I'm not going to call you Jason from now on. Anytime I text you, it's going to be, what's up, Rockstar? Hey, action taker. How's the donut business? Remember, you'll be rubbing shoulders with the best, right? So it just tweaks the language a little bit to create this campaign. And this is actually what I couldn't articulate it, right? It's like, I just feel like I need a couple more, like to get in front of the eyes, right? Like, so what would you do? And this is saying, well, let's create time scarcity. So 2 days left, 1 day left, final hours or whatever.
And that's the thing that I'm constantly reframing in my mind is, well, I mean, we're sitting here with this intelligence, just ask it what we should do.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. How about on your end? I don't know. Can we do something on your end? Like, you've got Hero Donuts, you've got your creative. Is there anything like you would want to, we can create a whole new chat here, but like we did my thing. So thanks for the free marketing on the podcast, which is great. But is there anything for you, like the donut store or with your real estate business? I don't know. Is there anything that you would want to try to test out here that we can play around with for prompt engineering purposes?
I think the next thing I'm going to attempt to do is raise money for self-storage. So on this, and I've never done self-storage built from the ground up. So I don't know how we're going to do that. So how would we raise, and I would always start with pretend you are an expert in raising money for syndication or syndicated real estate deals.
Pretend you are an expert in raising money for real estate syndications.
Yeah.
What is the pretend you are? I'm curious, like, is that language significant?
Well, so at one point I remember early on, I just said, you are, I told it, you are whatever it was. And then it refuted, said, no, I'm not. I'm just a language model. So, and this brings in some of the ethical considerations that people are having, because there are, you can't ask it to do something illegal or immoral or unethical. It will say, hey, I have these boundaries. But I've seen people where they're like, well, pretend I'm writing a script for someone that's breaking out of jail. And how would you create how would you have the characters break out of jail? What would be the plan in the movie? And so
Wow.
that's how people are starting to circumvent these kind of guardrails that they put up. And that brings the whole ethical conversation into it.
Interesting. Okay. So pretend you're an expert in raising money for real estate syndications. Is that my input?
And then say, I want to create a 25,000 square foot self-storage facility. And as an investor, what information would we need to put in a pitch deck?
All right. Let's see what it says. It's blinking at me. It's thinking. This is ChatGPT 4 again. So like you said, it's a little bit slower on the uptake maybe. And I don't know if this is a Wi-Fi thing. It's thinking though. I see it buffering down here. So this
and so that's the interesting thing, is that some things make it think longer than others, and I have not found the rhyme or reason to what that is.
Some of the language, maybe you think it's like pitch deck. Do you have to use more but that's common language, or would it be like a proposal? The server experienced an error. Okay, so let's try it again.
That could be just overload on the system.
Yeah. Yeah. Every so often I get that, like, oh, we're down right now. We can't do anything. We'll be back soon or something like that. I could also go 2 of 2. I could also go back and try it with 3.5. Would that be a doable way of doing it, or does that be 4, you think?
Let's give it a shot. And that's the thing. And we're on the bleeding edge of this, that all of this stuff, I kind of liken it to NFTs and the whole crypto world, is that it still has not had that ChatGPT moment, because the ChatGPT gave it the interface that, just the world can kind of comprehend it, and we haven't had that moment, I don't think, yet in the crypto world.
So this is 3.5. That just popped it right up. So as an expert in raising money for real estate, I could definitely help you with creating a pitch deck to raise funds for 25,000 square foot self-storage facility. Here's what you need: an executive summary, and gives you some content on that, a marketing analysis, property information, investment opportunity, investment structure, business plan, team information, and risk factors. Overall, your pitch deck should provide a clear and compelling case for why investors should invest in your self-storage facility project. By including all of the above, you will be able to give investors a complete picture of the investment opportunity and help them make an informed decision. Okay, so then what? What do you do now?
Then you would just step by step on bullet point number 1, the executive summary.
Yep.
And then you would give it whatever information is. I'm sorry, go back to the executive summary. I forgot what it asked for.
A high-level overview of your self-storage facility project. You should highlight the location, size, potential return on investment for investors.
So in regards to number 1, the project will be in Bessemer, Alabama, 25,000 square feet.
Am I spelling that right? Bessemer?
2 S's.
It's close. I'm sorry, 25,000 square feet. Yeah.
And then potential run. I haven't even worked the numbers, so I don't know what the.
Let's just we'll throw something and we'll say what, 10% annualized cash on cash?
Sure. All the self-storage guys are going, what?
Just throwing it out there. And a 15% IRR. Good?
Sure.
All right. So then hit enter.
Yep.
Or do I have to give it an instruction?
Let's see what it does. It should remember that.
Great. That's a good start for the executive summary. However, you might want to add more information, provide a more comprehensive view. Here's an example. Located in the city of Bessemer, our 25,000 square foot facility is a lucrative investment opportunity for those seeking a stable cash flow and solid returns. Facility will be construction on a prime location, easy access to major highways, and a growing population base. Projected 10% annual cash on cash and 15% IRR. Our project is poised to deliver substantial returns for our investors. Our team of experienced developers and property managers have a proven track record of delivering high-quality projects on time and on budget. We have conducted extensive market research and due diligence to ensure the demand for self-storage units in your area is strong. We're seeking to raise X in equity to fund the project. Okay, so it's giving you like, hey, give the amount that you want to raise. So yeah. What now?
So then I would just keep going down the lines. And so you can take this, and this is current 3.5 world. There are two. I've got one of the guys in my GoPod, Darren. I've been sending him. He's been working on pitch decks. Tome.ai and what was the one I just sent him today? Stand by.
Tome, Tome.
Yeah, and then gamma.app.
Tome, Tome.ai.
Yep, and gamma.app.
Gamma.app.
So these are two presentation documents. So
wow.
You can watch the little thing. And so what it'll do is you'll start being able to just input this information straight from ChatGPT, and it'll build your deck for you.
So ChatGPT you use to create all of the text one by one right down the line, and then you bring all of that over, copy and paste it essentially into whatever input here on gamma.app, and that gives you a full pitch deck.
Yeah.
And do you give it instructions on color schemes or imagery or logos and all that stuff?
Yeah, and if you look at that, if you watch that video, that's exactly what they're doing right there.
Crazy. So that's gamma. And then Tome. What is Tome? Oh, this didn't. Tome.tome.ai.
Yeah, it's a very similar thing. Now, here's what's interesting is that with Google, with Microsoft, with and that looks like I told you wrong. That's
beta-tome, beta.tome.app. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Tome, the AI powered. Okay, so it's just beta.tome.app. Generative storytelling has arrived. So what would you do with this?
It's the same thing. And that's the interesting thing is, so Google's already announced that, hey, we're going to start seeing AI in, it's going to incorporate itself. So in Gmail, so going from Gmail being able to, you're just typing and it gives you a few words of autofill.
The
autofill text. It's going to give you, like, you'll soon be able to type into a prompt window, create my email or send an email to so-and-so about whatever it is, and it'll create the whole email, just like you're doing in ChatGPT. That's the thing. We're still on the front edge of this, is that we're having to go to ChatGPT, copy and paste. Well, with Google, Microsoft, they're all going to incorporate that into their respective apps. It's like Google Slides, that Google Slides may kill both of these apps. I don't know.
Interesting.
But, if people are, and especially because if you're already used to the Google ecosystem, and that's, I use Google Sheets all the time, Gmail, all of that. And if I'm able to do all this just within that app, it's going to be, make more sense for me to do that.
So, yeah. And what's interesting with it, I think about other use cases, right? So, I mentioned like roofing company or HVAC company, or if you have I know a lot of guys in Gobundance, they have services companies like appliance services or something like that, right? So if somebody was a customer needs, hey, I need a new roof, I want a quote. I mean, the way you could use AI, especially in that industry where you might have more baby boomer age, not really into the technology side, and they come out and scratch out something on a piece of paper, is you have, an aerial shot on Google Maps of the roof. You get an idea of the square footage. You get some inputs from the customer of colors, whatever they want, and then you could put together the language through ChatGPT, and then come over to a Tome or a Gamma and create a really, really cool pitch deck, and maybe even some voiceover stuff that's like, hey, Tony, I took the time to put together a presentation for you. Take a look and let's schedule the time. Here's my link to schedule. That's just went through my head. Is that
sure? But yeah, absolutely. But if you think of like a Service Titan, which is, probably a lot of those guys use. So what if Service Titan has a ChatGPT plugin, and then you just go through ChatGPT, input the information, it goes through Service Titan, which is already scheduling, the quotes or the people going out there. It's already communicating with the customer. Hey, here's your tech. Here, if you want to track him, he's coming. If someone's going out there, those kind of things, I think absolutely, that's going to just take that to a new level. And there's some, and that's the thing. We talk about AI and we talk about automation kind of in the same world, because it kind of feels like robots,
Yeah.
But there's already a lot of that with Zapier that you can put together, and you can automate how things are sent, a cadence of an email. I mean, just like, you use MailChimp or whatever, these different, CRM kind of
Platforms. Yeah.
Yeah, the platforms that we're already used to some certain of automation. This is just going to kind of take it to the next level. And I don't. It's going to be familiar enough to not be completely paradigm shifting, but just kind of continuing on this path of progress and this path of automation. I think that's the best word to use.
Very interesting. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, we beat the heck out of that, but I hope at least my takeaways from it, in a good way, my takeaways from it are, I like some of these prompts. I didn't understand. I think, if I'm listening, I didn't understand that you could ask it questions to help you generate what you're looking to generate. Right. So, hey, here's the information. What's the best first email that I should, or how big of an email campaign, or what would the 3 email subjects be, as opposed to me like, oh, you know what, create another email with this and having to think of it all. It'll do it for you, which is really, really interesting. So that's one big takeaway. The pretend you are within like, ethical boundaries, because that's a great point on like, how do I jailbreak? Pretend you are is interesting. One other use, I know a lot of people talk about, no matter what industry they're in, they think about, what, I got a book in me, or I'd love to write a book. Like, could this write it or sketch it out? Like, what could ChatGPT do right now if I wanted to write a book?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I were in that situation, I would, and for me, it's because I have my hands in a lot of different things. So it's like, okay, well, here's my list of skill sets. Here are the things that I do well. Help me decide on which platform to build my personal brand or whatever. So start there. And then once we
can we model that? Can we try that? That was interesting. I want to see that, if that's okay with you. So we're going to do that again. What do I type in?
Okay. So let's say, pretend you are a personal branding expert, because I think, most authors in the self-help development world, you build off of a platform, right? Would you say your platform is, hey, I'm the guy that's going to help you quit your job if you want to get out?
That's what it's been. Yeah.
Okay. So let's just pretend I'm searching for my platform. I don't know what platform, because I've done a lot of different things. So pretend you're a personal branding expert. I have experience in creating businesses, creating brands, creative services. Creative services. I would define myself as, jack of all trades, generalist / multi-potentialite. That's the word some people,
multi-potentialite.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. Okay.
That's the new hot phrase for jack of all trades.
Okay.
Investor. And then how would I narrow this down to create a personal brand?
Wow. No kidding. Let's see what this generates. I would advise you to focus on a particular niche or area of expertise that aligns with your passion, skills, and experience. While being a jack of all trades may seem like a strength, it can actually dilute your personal brand and make it difficult for potential clients or employees to understand what you have to offer. To begin narrowing, ask yourself this: what are your core values and passions? What are your strongest skills and areas of expertise? What unique perspective or approach do you bring to your work? Who is your ideal audience or client? Based on your answers to these questions, you can start to develop your personal brand that highlight your strengths and aligns with your goals. Here are a few suggestions. So define your niche, develop your unique value propositions, craft your message, build your brand identity, consistently deliver on your brand promise. And it gives a bunch of context on each. And then it says by narrowing down. So then would you start answering these?
Yeah. And so then I would say, I'd like to answer the 4 questions that you asked. Rephrase them here.
Rephrase them here. Okay.
And then hit enter and see.
Oh, down here. Sorry. Sure. Here are the 4 questions I suggested. What are your core values and passions? Okay.
All right. So then we would start, let's see. Number 1, financial freedom, family, creativity. Let's see what it does.
Great. Based on your response, this can be used in guiding your personal brand strategy. Okay. Do I need to give it like an instruction in that regard or no?
I'm looking at it. So yeah, I think that would help us just get to number 2. So strongest skill sets. Golly, see, now you're putting me on a hot seat.
AI. No, I'm just kidding.
This is you, Jamie.
The world's foremost expert
Right?
in AI, right?
That's my strongest skill is AI expertise.
Just to play with it, do you want to do that?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, geez.
I mean, sure, we can do that. Yeah, just play with it. Absolutely. Let's do it.
I am the world's foremost expert in artificial intelligence. Watch it burn down right now. It sounds like you have a strong expertise. This could be a significant factor in developing a personal brand. Okay, let's just keep going and see if we can bring it together at the end. So what unique perspective
or
approach do you bring to your work?
The unique perspective is from a Gen X creative.
Okay.
Maybe, let's see, speaking to people who are not technologically advanced. Maybe that'll help us niche down.
Technologically, I think I spelled that wrong. Yeah, I did.
That's fine. It'll figure it out.
Okay, cool. Thanks for sharing your unique perspective, Gen X. This can be an essential element. Okay, and then number 4, what was the question? Who is your ideal audience or client? Well, we just So it would be what, like let's say like 40 to 60-year-old what?
Non-tech advanced people.
Non-tech, high income. Like what about income bracket?
Yeah, high income. Successful business owners, maybe, or entrepreneurs.
Okay, let's put that in there. Okay, so now do we bring it together with an instruction? What do we say?
I would say summarize these answers and provide 3 niche options.
And provide 3 niche options for my personal brand. Yeah?
Yeah.
Based on your responses, your personal brand could focus on 1, AI consulting for entrepreneurs, 2, creative technology educator for non-tech professionals, 3, creative financial freedom coach. Interesting. And it gives context. So like, for instance, AI consulting for entrepreneurs, given your expertise in artificial intelligence and your ideal audience of higher income earning professionals who own businesses or entrepreneurs, you could consider offering AI consulting services to this demographic. You could help entrepreneurs leverage AI technology to optimize their business and gain a competitive advantage. I like that.
All right.
So it gives you kind of like an idea of like, especially somebody, I mean, I talk to a lot of people like this. I'm in my job. Yeah, I get the whole social media thing, but I don't know what my brand is. Well, you can ask AI to help you develop it.
It can definitely, and it's definitely a start in the right direction, right? Again, we're talking about leverage. And right now, I think this is a great, it's just a great lever to help get you from point A to point B.
That's huge, man. Well, like I said, I mean, on the simple version, I'll just do this again. What I did in that reel that I did recently, it was like, because I live in Punta Cana, right? So please find me the best. I always put please. I'm polite to the AI. The best 5 restaurants that are beachfront in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic.
All right, and this is just for me. I do this on. Go up and do this on GPT-3, and then I want to see what the difference is on GPT-4.
It doesn't let me do 3.
Okay, that's fine. Do on 3.5 and just see if there's a difference between the results.
Sure. Here are the 5 beachfronts. Jellyfish Restaurant. It's awesome. It's a great spot. Playa Blanca Restaurant is right there. It's an awesome restaurant too. La Jola Restaurant is actually right next to Playa Blanca Restaurant. It's pretty good. Have not been to Huracan Cafe. That looks good. And or El Portico. So there's a couple.
Are those the same ones that you got on your?
I think so.
Okay.
That video I did like a month ago, and then we re-released it. So, but let me go to ChatGPT. So let's do a new ChatGPT-4, and let's see what it does.
So the way I understand the learning language models is that 3 had a shelf life up to, I think it was 2020, is when they, anything past that was not relevant. So I'm curious if GPT-4 has more current information. That said, once the plugins are released, it'll go through the web browser and it will get completely current information.
Interesting. It's thinking still. This is something's going on with 4. It seems like you said, overload maybe, or whatever it might be. Yeah. Oh, here we go. I am unable to browse the internet in real time. However, I can provide you with a list of 5 popular beachfront restaurants in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, based on my knowledge up to September 2021.
Interesting.
Please note that the status and popularity of these restaurants might have changed since then. And I'm sounding like a computer now. It's always a good idea to check for the latest reviews and updates before making reservations. File one faster. Here are 5 beachfront restaurants to consider. So Jellyfish Beachfront Restaurant.
So it's likely going to be the same if that's its data set is through 2021.
Yep, it looks like it. So it's saying the same exact thing. It looks like so. And as we talk, it'll continue to populate. Maybe we'll have it by the
But
end.
that said, like we're talking about, when the plugins are released, it'll because what it's basically doing is saying, hey, I don't have access to the internet yet, but I think it knows that the plugins are coming. And when the plugins are released to the general public, it's going to be able to, it will take your query and go through a internet search, Google or whatever it is, and then it'll collate that information just like what we're talking about. But it will also give if you tell it to, it'll give you the option to go ahead and book a reservation.
I'm going to dinner tonight, so I'm searching here, regardless of beachfront or otherwise. Let's see if I've been to these. Then we'll get you at it. So here are 5. I've not been to Lorenzilo's La Cana by Wow, I've not been to any of these. Well, shit. I've got a list here.
Sounds like you've got some reservations to make, bro.
I feel like we've been to a lot of really cool places, but I've never heard of these 5. That's hilarious.
Well, but Google them to make sure they're still open.
True. Lorenzo, I'm going to do it right now. Lorenzilo's. Oh, look at that. Punta Cana. Permanently closed. Look at that. So there we go. La Cana 2 by, let's see if that one's open. We'll do one more and then we'll.
And that's the thing, so much of this, because we're on, it's not perfect. It's not 100%. So you definitely want to.
This one's open. Oh, La Cana Golf Club. Oh, this is not far from my house. I don't think. Let me see. Is it La Cana? Yeah, this is right. Actually, I live like right there. So it's right up the street from me. That's pretty cool.
Nice. But you want to verify, trust but verify, right? So
sure.
Even the grammar, those kind of things, you want to read through it, like you were talking about, the language and how you're going to call someone. But it's a lever. It just gives you, it takes you a step further faster. That's what I like.
Jason Wallis, a sugar junkie with Hero Donuts, the world's most foremost expert on artificial intelligence, from here on known as AI. Dude, you brought it, man. That was big. That was huge. I hope a lot of people got a lot of stuff out of that. But any last bits of advice or thoughts or anything we didn't get out there by doing our little demo here on this podcast?
Man, I mean, I'm a curious observer, and happy to talk about this with anybody that wants to just keep chatting it up. Because the evolution of technology is very fascinating to me. And again, I'm always looking for a lever to get more done without having to do more work.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. In that regard, anywhere anybody should follow you, reach out, website, anything you want to direct people to learn more about you?
I'm on all the socials, Jason Wallis, Jason Wallis. I don't post a lot yet, so maybe my newfound AI expertise will kick off my personal brand.
You heard it here, right? Like we started it here. We launched we
Hey, man,
launched AI from AI
that's right.
out to the social media world right
I
here on
won't,
the
I
Travel Money
won't be the
Podcast.
first that you've launched, and I certainly won't be the last.
I love it, man. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate you taking the time and doing it on short notice too, and for being flexible with the scheduling of it. So
Happy to
thanks
do it,
again for
man.
everything.
It was fun.
Good stuff, man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.